Chapter 21-27. My Corpse. Hurricane Mercenaries. Everyone there was stunned for a second when they heard what Yun Jian said. What did Yun Jian mean? What did she mean by my corpse? Could it be that the corpse in Marilena's tomb was hers? Was she slaying God, the #1 secret agent in the world? Of course no one thought so. To hell with it. Yun Jian. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green at the moment. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for it. Chapter 21-28. She had her eyes on the corpse, so it was hers. Yun Jian's words made the people who were shocked by Yun Jian's words of, my corpse, feel that it was an illusion. In spite of it, what Yun Jian did just now was too shocking. Not only was she unfazed when she was faced with a leading foreigner's rifle, she had seized the opportunity when she was answering the foreigner's question to pounce over and snatch the foreigner's gun in just 3 seconds. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 21-29. Ma Zhixiang and the others followed Yun Jian for a long distance before they recovered from their shock. Oh no, my God! Yun Jian, how did you do that just now? Do you know that your pose was so cool? From now on, Guidongyang, a member of the Archaeology School Society, will be your underling. Guidongyang grinned at Yun Jian with his fair lips and teeth as his huge and plump body shook up and down. Guidongyang was a true fatty. Although he looked fat, he was actually even fatter. The lumps of fat on his body clung tightly to his body. However, Guidongyang was an extremely adorable fatty. Not only did the fat on his body not make one feel disgusted, it even made him look adorable. Fatty you? Underling? Come on, Yun Jian doesn't want to take you in. Night Spirit swung her 2 ponytails and made a funny face at Guidongyang with a grin. What's wrong? So what if I'm fat? Being fat means that I can eat. My body is great and I can eat well. Give me a fulcrum and I can eat your family to the point of poverty. Guidongyang walked with a proud expression as he shook his body twice with his tummy. That action made Night Spirit burst into laughter. She laughed so hard that she almost choked on her own saliva. Fatty, why are you so funny? Are you trying to make me laugh to death? Night Spirit laughed and laughed until she could not hold it in anymore. She hugged her tummy and laughed as she walked forward, unable to stop. How annoying! You guys are so nosy. Seeing Night Spirit and Guidongyang laughing along the way, Lu Mingyu, who was very concerned about her image, brushed her long hair that was scattered over her shoulders and pouted. Hey, we're talking. We're talking about ourselves. It's not a problem for you, right? We're not walking on your path nor are we snatching your place. Furthermore, if it's someone from our team, you guys can only take the long route obediently. If you're unhappy, you can take the long route yourself. Do you really King think we have to bring you along? Night Spirit was not someone to be trifled with either. When she heard Lu Mingyu's words, she immediately retorted without giving her any face. Night Spirit was direct, but as long as one was alive, one should be like Night Spirit. If someone scolded them, they should bombard them with words until they surrendered. Don't say that you're embarrassed to fight back. Think about it from another perspective. If the other party had the nerve to bully you, why would you be embarrassed to fight back? So what if they had shed all pretense of cordiality? If the other party dared to bully you, it meant that she had shed all pretense of cordiality first. Why should you show her any mercy? Night Spirit well said. I support you. When Guidongyang heard Night Spirit's words, he stood out and said loudly. At the same time, he glanced at Lu Mingyu from the corner of his eye. This stare infuriated Lu Mingyu. Aren't you guys just borrowing that woman's glory? What's so great about that? Did he think that he was very powerful? I think that woman is just Didn't he just say a few random words? Did he really think he was a god? Lu Mingyu was not someone who would swallow her anger. She kept saying, that woman, and quarreled with Night Spirit and Guidongyang. From time to time, she would glare at Yun Jian as if Yun Jian had done something to her. Just as Lu Mingyu was clicking her tongue non-stop, Yun Jian, who had been silent all this while, suddenly said, Shut up, there's gunfire. Where did the gunfire come from? The gunfire was so loud. Why didn't we hear it? You're trying to prove that you're very powerful just now, right? Lu Mingyu even glanced at Yun Jian from the corner of her eye. However, just as he finished speaking, a series of terrifying gunshots came from the back of the mountain in front of them. Bang! 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 Eh. Chapter 21:30. Gunshots rang out one after another. They were quite a distance away from where the gunshots were coming from. If someone were to walk there, they would probably hear deafening gunshots. What's going on? What's going on? The moment she heard the gunshots, Lu Mingyu, who was so arrogant earlier, immediately grabbed the sleeve of a boy who came with her. She was so scared that she could not stop trembling. Although Ma Jixiang, Night Spirit, Guodongyang, Lu Yuyan, and Ling Feng were also afraid of the sudden gunshots, their reactions were many times better than Lu Mingyu's. Why does everyone here have guns? Lu Mingyu was so scared that she grabbed the sleeve of a boy who came with her tightly. She was so scared that she was almost scared to death. There's a gunfight up ahead. Yun Jian ignored Lu Mingyu and said calmly. After Yun Jian finished speaking, everyone present was slightly stunned. Gunfight? Why would there be a gunfight? Didn't everyone come here to see the female corpse that won't rot? I only heard that some people wanted to snatch the female corpse. But if that's the case, everyone should compete fairly. Why would they shoot? Lu Mingyu was already trembling in fear. At this time, a girl who was in the same team as Lu Mingyu was less than 1.5 meters tall and was about the height of a child. According to the golden ratio, her figure was just right. She was also a little scared as she spoke softly. However, just as the girl finished speaking, she was interrupted by Yun Jian. Compete fairly? These words only belong to a society ruled by law. I'm sorry to tell you that this is not a place you're familiar with. You still want to compete fairly after entering this place? Are you dreaming? It was not hard to tell that neither Ma Jixiang's team nor Lu Mingyu's team knew what kind of place they were in. Perhaps they were still heading towards an ordinary tomb, with the idea that the treasure would belong to whoever found it first based on their own abilities. However, they did not know that the people who came to Marilena's tomb to fight for the corpse were all international wanted criminals, international business tycoons, underground gangs, assassin organizations, and mercenary groups. These people treated human lives like grass. Could it be that everyone else is here for the female corpse? It was rumored that the female corpse was slaying God, the #1 secret agent on the international secret agent ranking. Was slaying God's influence so great in this world? It's just a news report saying that the female corpse is suspected to be slaying God, the #1 international secret agent, and all those people are rushing over to check it out? They haven't even entered the tomb yet, and they're already using their guns and starting a massacre just to snatch first place? Do you still regard human lives as worthless? Ma Jixiang was indeed worthy of being the president of the Archaeology Society. He possessed an intelligent brain and immediately asked this question in shock. It was only suspected to be the corpse of slaying God, the top international secret agent. They did not even know if the news was real or fake, yet all the top international figures were rushing over to check it out? What kind of existence was slaying God? Although Ma Jixiang, Lu Mingyu, and the rest were students, they shuddered when they heard about slaying God, the top secret agent on the international secret agent ranking. However, they were university students after all. They would not know what slaying God's international status was. What they said above was spoken in Chinese. The foreigners in the team standing at the side probably did not understand Mandarin. However, a foreigner with a beard that covered half his face could not help but speak in Mandarin when he heard Ma Jixiang. The moment he mentioned slaying God, the foreigner was so serious that he was filled with respect. Every word that came out of the foreigner's mouth shocked and resonated with everyone present. Slaying God, the #1 international secret agent ranking. She's an existence that makes the world tremble. Slaying God is the person who shocked the world during the Bloody Night incident a few years ago. Those who are targeted by slaying God will definitely die. If we were to talk about slaying God's most famous incident, it would be the Bloody Night incident a few years ago. When slaying God wasn't #1 on the international secret agent ranking, she was one of the top 10 secret agents on the international secret agent ranking and top 10 assassins on the international assassin ranking due to her extraordinary ability. A total of 20 top international assassins went up against slaying God alone. Do you know how it ended in the end? Slaying God single-handedly wiped out the International Secret Agent Assassin ranking and killed all 20 top assassins on the spot. That's the infamous Bloody Night incident. Tell me, how can the death of such a terrifying person not cause a stir? A. Chapter 2131. A. Chapter 2133. Yun Jian followed Ma Zhixiang and the others to the hillside first. Lu Mingyu and the others followed closely behind. Later, the other teams of foreigners also followed Yun Jian and the others to the hillside. The hillside was not high. Yun Jian and the others walked for about 10 minutes to reach the top of the hill. At the top of the hill, they could see the scene of the terrifying gunfight about a few hundred meters away. From the top of the hill, one could see the entire scene of the gunfight, as well as the entrance to the tomb at the side of the hill where the gunfight was in full swing. Marilena's tomb was different from other tombs buried underground. It was on flat ground. Of course, Marilena's tomb was located in the middle of a mountain. Entering from the entrance of the tomb was equivalent to walking in a man-made cave. But unlike a cave, it was a tomb. After Lu Mingyu followed the group to the top of the hill, she was no longer afraid when she saw that she was safe. Her cowardice disappeared in an instant. She even saw Yun Jian, who had just shown her talent, follow them to the top of the hill. Lu Mingyu was unhappy. She pointed at the scene of the gunfight in the distance and said loudly to Yun Jian, "Aren't you very good? What's wrong? Are you scared now? Why did you come to the top of the hill with us to take refuge? Go down if you have the guts." Who asked her to show off in front of everyone just now? As soon as Lu Mingyu finished speaking, the girl who was less than 1.5 meters tall and about the same height as a child also helped Lu Mingyu to point out Yun Jian's faults. "The gunfight over there is so scary. But didn't you say that there is no fair competition here? Since you said that, it means that you are very familiar with the scene of such a gunfight, right? Then why did you come to the top of the hill like us to take refuge?" It was normal for young girls to pay attention to their image. But Yun Jian had just refuted the words of the girl who was less than 1.5 meters tall in front of everyone. It was reasonable that the girl was unhappy. Now that they were safe, the girls helped Lu Mingyu to fight back against Yun Jian. "All right, Lu Mingyu, Dan Kaiwe, stop talking. It was this girl who helped us just now, so we didn't have to take a detour. It's really too much for the two of you to continue talking." At this moment, a boy in Lu Mingyu's team finally stood up and said something fair. The girl, who was less than 1.5 meters tall, was short but not heavy. She was thin and petite, and helped Lu Mingyu to say that Yun Jian was not her. Her name was Dan Kaiwe. As soon as the boy finished speaking, Dan Kaiwe and Lu Mingyu shut their mouths obediently. Then the boy turned to look at Yun Jian and smiled apologetically. Then he turned to Ma Zhixiang and said, "Well, I'm sorry about earlier. You were kind enough to give me an orange to eat, and I even swatted it away. I heard from you guys on the way that you guys are university students from the School of Archaeology. Then we should be similar. We are also students of the School of Archaeology. My father is a professor and an archaeologist in our school. This time I was the one who led the team. Before we came out, my father told me not to care about others. People outside are sinister, so when you gave me an orange just now, I didn't give you a good look. Now, I apologize to you. I hope you can forgive me." As the boy spoke, he reached out his hand to Ma Zhixiang and introduced himself very seriously. "Let's get to know each other. My name is David. A." Chapter 2134. David was not pretending to be aloof, which was why he had swatted away Ma Zhixiang's orange. Now that the misunderstanding had been resolved, Ma Zhixiang extended his hand in a friendly manner and shook David's hand. "Your father was right. When you're outside, you have to be vigilant. It's not your fault. Haha." After a while, Ma Zhixiang and David became good friends. The main reason was that Ma Zhixiang had let bygones be bygones. Lu Mingyu and Dan Kaiwe saw that Ma Zhixiang and David had become good friends. Dan Kaiwe did not say much while Lu Mingyu rolled her eyes. Look. Over there." Just when the tension had eased, a foreigner suddenly pointed excitedly at the location of the gunfight in the distance and exclaimed. His exclamation attracted everyone's attention. In the distance, a small team of 8 people suddenly appeared in the middle of the gunfight between the two sides. These 8 people were undoubtedly Blackett and his men. When Blackett and his men joined the gunfight, it became a 3-way gunfight. The 3 groups of people who came from different regions and had different goals started fighting each other with their spears. For a moment, gunshots rang through the air. Kill! Kill! We swear to protect our benefactor. Slaying God's body. We'd rather die today than take back our benefactor. Slaying God's body. 100 meters away, at the scene of the gunfight, Blackett, who was shot in the arm, roared. Ignoring the throbbing pain, he reloaded the spent bullets into the magazine and attacked again. The 2 underworld forces that Blackett was fighting in the distance had many people. The 2 underworld forces that were still in the gunfight suddenly came to a consensus and charged toward Blackett and his men. Oh no! They've stopped attacking each other and are planning to kill us first. One of Blackett's men frowned and said. Blackett clenched his fist. Suddenly, in front of Ma Zhixiang and the others who were 100 meters away, he poked his head out, held his pistol, and shot dead the enemy's men. He shouted, he yelled. Don't retreat. Don't forget, we'd be dead if it weren't for slaying God. Now that slaying God is in trouble, how can we surrender? Kill them. Kill them. Kill. Blackett's brothers stood up, exposed themselves in front of the enemy, and charged forward, screaming and yelling. 100 meters away, Ma Zhixiang and the others were stunned by the fighting spirit of Blackett's group. Oh my God, they'll die if they do this. Night Spirit's eyes widened in shock. Die. It was no longer important to Blackett and the others. Slaying God was the one who gave them a second chance at life. Now that the underground forces wanted to take slaying God's body away, they must not let them succeed. Gunshots rang out incessantly. The 2 opposing dark forces now aimed their guns at Blackett's group of 8. As Ma Zhixiang and the others exclaimed in shock, Blackett's group of 8 fell to the ground one after another. Blackett and the others had covered themselves very well. They were wearing bulletproof vests, so they weren't hit in the vitals. However, they were still missing 1 or 2 shots. One of the bosses of the underworld forces suddenly stood out and shouted, You're too weak. Kill. Kill. Kill them all. Damn it. How dare you sneak attack my men? Kill them all. Give them the final blow. After that, 8 of his men with rifles pointed their guns at Blackett's group. Seeing this, pain and despair flashed through Blackett's group of 8. They were still too weak. They thought they could do something for slaying God. But now, they couldn't do it anymore. I'm sorry, we're just a bunch of trash. But we've done our best. Blackett closed his eyes slowly. Just when he and Ma Zhixiang and the others who were watching from 100 meters away thought that Blackett's group of 8 were done for. Tut 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 tut. 8 consecutive machine gun shots were heard. The 8 men who had pointed their guns at Blackett's group were killed instantly. Ma Zhixiang and the others widened their eyes from afar. The girl who was supposed to be standing next to them had somehow gone down the hill and was now standing in the center of the battle between the 2 dark forces. It was the most eye-catching spot. The girl was holding a machine gun that she had gotten from somewhere. After shooting at the 8 people, Blackett and the others reacted and looked at her with shocked and terrified eyes. The girl's lips curled into a smile in front of the 2 dark forces, Blackett's group, and Ma Zhixiang and the others who were watching from afar. She lowered her head slightly and revealed a creepy smirk. She said something that made everyone's faces turn pale. Even if they're trash or dogs, the people I've protected aren't people you can kill just because you want to. Chapter 2136. Ma Zhixiang was indeed the president of the Archaeology Society. He had great foresight and his analysis was very reasonable. This Yun Jian was not simple, so they should not drag her down. Ma Zhixiang's words made Lu Yuyan stop what she was doing. She really did not insist on going down the mountain to bring Yun Jian back. Ma Zhixiang's team of Archaeology Society members were not simple. Otherwise, why would the school be willing to let them explore the tomb? This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. To support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2137. Brother Milo, what are you doing? Xian Yu asked as he scanned the surroundings after giving Milo a big hug. Hee. There's a group of overconfident forces and a few ants who barged into my territory trying to snatch the entrance to Marilena's tomb from me. I'm getting rid of evil for the people. After Milo heard Xian Yu's words, He glared fiercely at the underground forces who were in a gunfight with him, Blackett and his men who joined the fight later, and Yun Jian who appeared last. Oh! What kind of ants dare to be so presumptuous in front of Brother Milo? After Xian Yu heard Milo's words, he looked around with a slightly scrutinizing gaze. Envious Yu's words clearly eased Milo's anger from before. They're just a few clowns. Milo replied Xian Yu. Since they're just clowns, why should we care about their lives? Brother Milo, I've heard that Marilina's tomb is like a huge maze. The female corpse suspected to be slaying God was hidden in it by a few researchers. Until now, those who entered the tomb have yet to find the female corpse. I heard that someone searched Marilina's tomb for 3 days and 3 nights but still couldn't find the female corpse's hiding place. Instead, they returned to the entrance of the tomb. It turns out that they've been walking in circles. Brother Milo, I'm telling you the truth. I'm only telling you this because of our close relationship. It's more important for us to enter the tomb and find the female corpse. If we're late, it'll be snatched away by those who have already entered the tomb. As for this group of clowns, let them continue to dance. The most important thing now is to enter the tomb as soon as possible. With Brother Milo's status, how can you limit your goal to this? Xian Yu was already standing in front of Milo when he spoke to him sternly. That's right. Ha ha ha. Brother Xian, you're really far-sighted. Let's go. We'll enter the tomb now. After Milo heard Xian Yu's words, he laughed and didn't argue with Yun Jian anymore. He led his men and quickly walked toward the tomb. The other group of underground forces did not stop them. After a gunfight, Milo clearly had the upper hand. It was great that Milo no longer cared. Yun Jian did not continue to attack Milo. This Milo was just a small character and was not worth her energy. After Milo walked into Marilena's tomb with a group of people laughing, another group of dark forces also followed into the tomb. With a light leap, Yun Jian hopped down from the rock and made her way to where Blackett and the others had fallen. Can you still get up? Yun Jian stood in front of Blackett and asked. Yes. Blackett looked at Yun Jian as if she was his idol. His voice was so loud that it almost reached the tip of his heart. She is. Blackett struggled for a while before he finally managed to stand up. He covered the gunshot wounds on his body, but blood was still dripping from his wounds. Blackett already realized that she, Yun Jian, was, however, Blackett didn't say the shocking news he had just realized. How is it? Are you guys okay? At this moment, Ma Zhixiang and the others, who were originally standing on the hillside in the distance, ran over. At this time, Ma Zhixiang asked. Ma Zhixiang, who was on the hill, saw the group of people enter Marilena's tomb. So he came down the hill and rushed over. TCH, aren't we fine? Nothing happened. Lu Mingyu muttered. Leave all the weapons on you, go clean your wounds and leave. Just then, Yun Jian looked at Blackett and said to Blackett and the others in an irrefutable tone. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version website. A. Chapter 2138. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. But we haven't gotten our savior's body back. One of the men in Blackett's group said. Blackett and his men were injured, both severely and lightly. The man who spoke was so injured that he could barely stand up. However, he was determined to stand up and continue his journey to Marilena's tomb. They had sworn that their second life was given to them by slaying God. If they could die for slaying God one day, they would have no regrets. Leave it to me. I won't let her body fall into anyone's hands. Yun Jian did not wait for the severely injured man to speak. Her voice boomed with a powerful aura. Everyone was stunned when she finished speaking. Yun Jian did not sound like she was joking. Brothers, give her your weapons. Listen to her. Blackett covered his mouth and coughed a few times. After spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood, he wiped his mouth nonchalantly and spoke to his men. Clearly, other than Blackett, no one knew Yun Jian's identity. However, these men were absolutely loyal to Blackett. Hence, Blackett and his men threw all their weapons on the ground and listened to Yun Jian. They walked to the side and treated their wounds. After that, they supported each other and left the place. Blackett took one last long look at Yun Jian before turning to leave. It seemed like Blackett and his men had come with a determination to die. Not only were there a variety of pistols on the ground, but there were also grenades and other weapons that Ma Zhixiang and the rest had never seen before. This, Ma Zhixiang, David, and the rest were just university students after all. Although they had learned a lot and were more powerful than the average university student, they were still a group of ordinary people at the end of the day. Hence, they were stunned when they saw the variety of pistols and grenades on the ground. You've seen what happened just now. Those who enter the tomb will be in danger at any time. I can tell you very clearly that the people you'll meet in the tomb will only be scarier than those people just now. Whether it's in terms of international influence, strength, or status, those people just now can't compare to him. So, if you want to enter the tomb, pick up your own weapons and fight. Of course, you can also choose not to take your weapons or not enter the tomb, because once you enter the tomb, I won't care if you live or die. Do as you please. Yun Jian said to the crowd. At this point, she had already done all she could. What the hell? Do you think you're so powerful? You just know how to use weapons. I can do that too. Lu Mingyu glared at Yun Jian. She squatted down and picked a few weapons from the ground. But after holding them in her hands, Lu Mingyu realized that she didn't even know how to use them. Yun Jian ignored Lu Mingyu. At the same time, Ma Zhixiang and the other four had already chosen several weapons and carried them with them. Ma Zhixiang and the other four chose one weapon each. David, Lu Mingyu, Dan Kaiwa, and the others also chose one weapon each. Just as the group of people tried their best to hide their weapons on their bodies, but people could still see that they were carrying weapons with a glance, they glanced at Yun Jian from the corner of their eyes. Suddenly, they saw that Yun Jian was skillfully hiding 2 pistols on the left and right sides of her waist. Then, she inserted 5 grenades into the bandage on her waist, in front of her stomach, and behind her back. Her loose clothes covered these 7 weapons. After that, Yun Jian picked up a few small knives and hid them in various parts of her body. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, Ma Zhixiang and the others wouldn't have believed that Yun Jian hid so many weapons on her body. After she lifted her clothes and rolled up her trousers, she hid all the weapons on her body. On the surface, it was as if she didn't have any weapons on her body. That appearance was like the preparation work of a female agent in a movie before she took out hidden weapons from all over her body to kill someone. Ma Zhixiang and the others were stunned when they saw this. It was Ma Zhixiang who spoke. He opened his mouth wide in surprise and asked, Yun Jian, how did you hide so many weapons all over your body? Top reading website, M.A. Chapter 2139. Yun Jian was biting her butterfly knife. After everything was done, she held the butterfly knife in her mouth and twirled it twice in her hand. Finally, she hid it between her thighs and said bluntly, That's how I did it. What's there to be proud of? Lu Mingyu glared at Yun Jian. She suddenly felt a wave of jealousy. Why did she seem to know everything? I can do it too, Lu Mingyu added. Then she read from. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2140. Lin Wei was already prepared for Yi Ling to ignore him. Lin Wei, one of the 4 leaders of the Anhun organization who was not afraid of anything, was the strongest, and had never been afraid of anyone. However, because he was afraid that Yi Ling would ignore him, he delayed the agreed time by 2 days before coming to look for her. When he said those words that were so indifferent that anyone could hear the indifference in his voice, Lin Wei was afraid that Yi Ling would nod in agreement. However, he did not expect that she would actually. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2141. They had just entered the tomb and walked for 30 minutes, but they had only walked around the tomb once? What? It's so strange. We have been walking forward since we came in from the entrance of the tomb. We just turned at a few forks. How could we return to the same path? How is it possible to go around in circles? Hearing Yun Jian's words, Lu Mingyu felt a chill down her spine. She was so scared that she shivered and stammered to defend herself. Compared to Lu Mingyu, who chose to deceive herself with words of disbelief, Lu Yuyan quickly took out a flashlight and shone it on the wall. Every 5 meters, a tick mark appeared in front of everyone's eyes. This mark was drawn by Lu Yuyan, who was walking at the back, with the red chalk. We really went back to the original path. Lu Yuyan frowned and immediately said, What? What should we do? We didn't see the entrance just now. Will we not be able to get out? What the hell is going on? Seeing this, Lu Mingyu was so scared that her face turned ashen. I want to get out of here. Dan Kaiwe immediately shivered in fear. Shut your mouths. Just as Lu Mingyu and Dan Kaiwe began to talk and tremble, Yun Jian suddenly shouted. Perhaps in this dark place where there was no light, Lu Mingyu and Dan Kaiwe were really scared by Yun Jian's shout and shut their mouths. At this time, everyone saw Yun Jian pressing her ear against the wall and listening quietly. In less than 2 seconds, Yun Jian raised her head and narrowed her eyes. There is someone on the other side of the wall. Don't scare us. I admit that I don't like you, but what kind of ability do you have to scare us like this? You. Lu Mingyu just said this. With a boom, the wall that Yun Jian had pressed her ear against just now seemed to have been triggered and suddenly opened. A handsome man in his early 30s appeared in front of everyone. He had a dignified appearance and was wearing a researcher's uniform. After the handsome man appeared, the moment he saw Yun Jian, he was slightly stunned. Then he said to Yun Jian in front of everyone, "Aren't you my aunt's granddaughter? Wait, let me think, that little girl named Yun Jian? Why are you here?" The handsome man who suddenly appeared in front of everyone was none other than Zhang Junyi, the distant relative who had taken out the photo of Yun Jian's corpse during Lu Lanhua's funeral. He was also the great scientist that their relatives talked about. "Uncle, are you related to Yun Jian? Judging from your attire, you must be the researcher who studied the female corpse, right? Could you please take us to see the female corpse? We came all the way here just to take a look, and then we'll leave." Night Spirit thought for a moment and hurriedly spoke to Zhang Junyi. Zhang Junyi touched the bridge of his nose, thought for a while, and nodded. "Sure, we'll leave after we take a look, but don't tell anyone else where we hid the female corpse. You know that many people have entered the tomb to look for her recently." Zhang Junyi and this group of researchers had hidden the female corpse very well. Therefore, even if those international bigwigs entered Marilena's tomb, they could not find the female corpse's hiding place. However, just as Zhang Junyi finished speaking, Yun Jian and the others suddenly heard the anxious and terrified voices of other researchers coming from Zhang Junyi's earpiece. "Oh no! Junyi, come back quickly. Those international bigwigs have found out where we hid the female corpse." As soon as he finished speaking, the communication was suddenly cut off. Hearing this, Ma Junyi's pupils constricted. In the next second, he did not have time to explain. He turned around and led Yun Jian and the others to the location where the female corpse was hidden. A foreigner pointed at the middle-aged man who had just killed the researcher and exclaimed loudly. Ma Zhixiang, Lu Yuyan, Dai Wei, Lu Mingyu, and the others turned pale with fright. "Assassin? That's an assassin on the international ranking." Lu Mingyu's face turned green with fright. Although the others were silent, their expressions were not any better. "It's not just him. The bald man standing next to Tiger is the international 3S wanted criminal, Mo Wu. Although Mo Wu is not on the international assassin ranking, he was once arrested and imprisoned in Interpol prison. In the end, he managed to escape and was given a kill order by the police. He survived even after being shot by a machine gun. In the end, he was not killed. His ability is comparable to the top 10 assassins on the international assassin ranking. And that woman in the Chong Sam, she must be the international gangster duo, the CEO of the multinational company, Double Knight Group. I heard that this Double Knight Group has secret connections with the biggest international arms smuggling tycoon. Her ability and influence is not something an ordinary person can fight against. This foreigner must have some understanding of these matters, so he was able to identify the group of people just by looking at their appearance. Hearing this, whether it was Ma Zhixiang, Lu Mingyu, or the others, all turned pale with fright and trembled. The people they had never heard of in the world, the people who lived in the rainforest of gunfire, were all here. And each of their identities was more terrifying than the last. Ma Zhixiang and the others were so scared that they did not even dare to breathe. At this moment, Tiger glanced at Yun Jian and the others. He did not take Yun Jian and the others seriously and ordered his men to open the coffin. When the researchers in the distance saw this, they did not dare to stop them. The coffin containing the woman's corpse was opened in front of everyone. The female corpse in the coffin had delicate skin, rosy cheeks, and beautiful looks. With just one look, She gave off a kind of earth-shattering beauty that made people unable to take their eyes off her. She lay quietly in the coffin, wearing a leather jacket and pants that wrapped around her perfect figure. A silver pistol was tied to her thigh. She was so beautiful that it made people forget to breathe. The beauty of the girl in the coffin and Yunjian's beauty at this moment were somewhat similar. Both were so beautiful that people would never forget them. Ha ha ha. It's her. It's definitely her. There's no mistaking it. It's definitely slaying God herself. Although she's never shown her face, I've interacted with her so many times. There's no mistaking it. It's her. Tiger glared fiercely at the girl in the coffin and cackled savagely. In the next second, Tiger's smile faded and he said to his men, "This B***TCH has been rampant for so many years and she's finally dead. Ha ha ha. She wants to leave just like that? Dream on. Take off slaying God's clothes and cut her into 1,000 pieces. I want her to die without peace." Upon hearing the order, Tiger's men walked toward the female corpse in the coffin. Ma Zhixiang and the others shuddered. They did not expect Tiger to attack the deceased. However, just as Tiger's men were about to attack the female corpse in the coffin, a sharp female voice rang out. A cold female voice rang out in time. The female voice that suddenly rang out caught the attention of everyone present. When everyone turned to look, they saw Yunjian making her way to the coffin. She was already holding 2 butterfly knives that resembled those of slaying God, who used to dominate the world. When the international bosses saw Yunjian holding the butterfly knives, they shuddered. She looked exactly like the person in their memories. However, in the next second, Yunjian walked slowly. The words that came out of her mouth were so cold that everyone's eyes widened. "How dare you humiliate my corpse in front of me? Tiger, I haven't seen you for a few years and you've grown so bold that you can't even recognize me. Do you want to try dying again?" A. Chapter 21:43. That familiar tone, those arrogant words as usual. She was. Tiger's eyes widened as he stared at Yunjian. His expression changed. Slaying God had a grudge against Tiger. At least in Tiger's heart, slaying God was someone he hated to the bone with. This was because slaying God had sabotaged Tiger's missions more than once, causing him to fail his missions. This had happened many times in his career. This chapter is unauthorized and cannot be read in green at the moment. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for it. A. Chapter 21:44. When Yunjian's words spread throughout the hall, everyone was shocked. However, Tiger's words dispelled their suspicions that Yunjian was slaying God. Slaying God's body was lying in the coffin, so how could she be this young girl who suddenly stood out? Didn't she see how that man killed her? He's not someone we can afford to offend. She's crazy. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green at the moment. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for it. Chapter 21:45. The appearance of Bao Lei made Tiger, double-faced lady, Mo Wu, Chapter 21:46, and the others squint their eyes. Yunjian was holding 2 pistols. Bao Lei was the strongest
Whether it
of
was
the
the action
120
of loading the
elites
bullets
of the
into the
Storm
magazine
Mercenary
or the
Group,
action of focusing the muzzle to
group.
fire the bullets,
Even though Bao Lei was blind in one eye, Ma Zhixiang and the others were stunned again by Yunjian's consecutive actions. At this moment, her marksmanship was leading a group of people in front of Tiger and the others. Even though it was not the first time seeing Yunjian fire a gun, this chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. Fired a series of shots. To support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 21:47. Wolf Killer? Everyone present was familiar with this code name. It didn't mean that Wolverine had a lot of influence or status in the world. Instead, a few years ago in Country MZF City, someone spread the news that Wolf Killer had abducted Slaying God's younger brother and killed him. He fed Slaying God's body to the dogs and brought Slaying God's head to make a deal with him. People in the world. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for it. Chapter 21:48. Lang Shaw's entire body swayed as he let out an ear-piercing laughter that sounded like silver bells. That laughter caused everyone present to frown. Yunjian's eyes darkened. Sure enough, Lang Sha knew the secret of the sandalwood box. On the day before her rebirth, when she handed the high-end imitation sandalwood box to Lang Sha, who was extremely afraid of her strength, was no longer afraid of her, as if he had received a treasure that could destroy the world. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the original website to pay for reading. Chapter 2149. Yun Jian was facing the crowd. Behind her, the blazing fire was burning the corpse of her past life until only a handful of ashes was left. She said something that sent chills down their spines in front of the crowd.
Yes, who had she, slaying God, been merciful to?
No one. She had never been merciful to anyone, including herself. When she left the assassin organization in her early years, she had. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green at the moment. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for it. Chapter 2150. Bam! Bam bam bam. As soon as Yun Jian finished speaking, she turned around. With her back facing Lang Sha, who had been kicked to the corner, she looked at Tiger, Mo Wu, the double-faced lady, Ma Zhixiang, Lu Mingyu, and everyone else. As soon as Yun Jian said, "Go to hell," the sound of a grenade explosion filled the air. The sound was deafening. The grenade buried Lang Sha's last scream. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2152. Outsiders only knew that Xian Yu was a mixed blood from Ri Nation, who later joined the underworld of Thailand's black market. However, no one knew that Xian Yu was the biological son of Thailand's black market boss. Moreover, why did Xian Yu and Milo leave in such a hurry after knowing that Yun Jian was slaying God? Why did Milo break out in cold sweat when he was stopped by Yun Jian? Perhaps it could be traced back to why Milo and Xian Yu came to investigate when they heard that slaying God's body was placed in a tomb. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for it. Chapter 2153. Therefore, Milo and Xian Yu's underlings would directly give up their dignity as men and kneel before Yun Jian. When a man can even give up his dignity and kneel before a woman, there is only one reason. This woman has enough power to make them fear her. The foreigner spoke to Lu Mengyu in Chinese that was not properly pronounced. When his words reached Lu Mengyu and everyone present, everyone was shocked again. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2154. Liang Xiaomin blushed when she said this. Obviously, Liang Xiaomin had been thinking about this when she was rehearsing with her classmates in the dance classroom, so she was absent-minded. Liang Xiaomin didn't even care when the lead dancer, who had always been on bad terms with her, spoke to her in that tone. At that time, Senior Mu Yong didn't wake up, so I ran out by myself. What should I do now? I don't have the face to see anyone. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2155. Liang Xiaomin's pupils dilated when she heard the words, "I love you." She stared at Mu Yaoyao in a daze, feeling incredulous for the first time. Senior Mu Yaoyao, whom she had always respected, said that he loved her? "But I already have a boyfriend. You can't treat me like this." Liang Xiaomin did not have the time to finish her sentence. Mu Yaoyao grabbed Liang Xiaomin's hand and said solemnly, "Don't you see that you're..." This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2157. Chu Ning had heard about Yun Jian's visit to Marilena's tomb from Yun Jian the week before last. Last week, Chu Ning called Yun Jian and asked if Yun Jian wanted to come to their school to play, but Yun Jian declined. Of course, Yun Jian also bluntly told her that she wanted to go to Marilena's tomb. So, Chu Ning could only let it go. Because she knew that Yun Jian was free to ask for leave from school, she was with Yun Jian this week. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2158. The newcomer was none other than Night Spirit, who had accompanied Yun Jian to Marilena's tomb. Night Spirit looked young. Her actual age was 19, but she looked like she was 14 or 15. She had the face of a lowly and had 2 ponytails. Today, she wore a yellow dress and carried a cute satchel, making her look even more youthful and energetic. Coupled with the fact that Night Spirit was quite good-looking with her soft skin and tender flesh, she quickly attracted everyone's attention. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please head to the official website to pay for it. Chapter 2159. When they heard Night Spirit's recollection of Marilena's tomb, everyone present was in full swing. They were in a state of shock. Night Spirit's recount of the incident caused their hearts to tremble violently, then plunge to a low ebb, and then become extremely astonished. It was just like the ups and downs of a story told by a storyteller. When Night Spirit said the last sentence, everyone present felt as if their hearts had been ruthlessly thumped. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for the reading. Chapter 2160. She was the legendary figure who led Team Monarch to the pinnacle, a member of Team Monarch, slashing God. Jiang Weiwei was not a talkative person. Coming from a military family, she had always been aloof in front of others. Especially in the military school, she had always been aloof and rarely talked to others. Moreover, Jiang Weiwei was quite good-looking. When Yun Jian was in her 3rd year of junior high school, Jiang Weiwei's features were exquisite, but her skin was tanned. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for it. Chapter 2161. This deep male voice filled with jealousy suddenly rang out without any warning. Chu Ning, who was still hugging the pile of gifts on the floor and joking with Yun Jian, was so shocked that she slid off the bench and onto the floor. This voice is, "Get lost." However, Ce, who had suddenly appeared at the door, spoke without mercy. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2162. Ce pressed his thin lips against Yun Jian's ear, gently biting her beautiful lips as he said this. He knew that her ears were the most sensitive part of her body. Slightly shaken by Ce's numbing breath, Yun Jian unconsciously wrapped her arms around his neck. The charming and gentle atmosphere in this mid-grade hotel room rose at the fastest speed. The two of them hugged each other like ice and fire. It wasn't considered luxurious here. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2163. If Yun Jian wasn't so cold-hearted and couldn't be bothered with these trivial matters, Song Yu wouldn't just have his legs crippled. His head would be rolling on the ground. With that, without waiting for Mo Lianhua's reaction, Yun Jian walked away in a relaxed manner. 1, 2, 3. Again. Get serious. Watch me clap my hands to the beat. 1, 2. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for it. Chapter 2164. When Kai Huiling saw Yun Jian, she felt a burst of anger in her heart. She thought that it was natural for a short, fat, and ugly girl like Zhu Huili to become a laughingstock after being pushed by her. However, back then, because she had pushed Zhu Huili, Yun Jian had helped Zhu Huili trample on her in public.
Kai Huiling had always been brooding over this matter.
Today, when she saw that Yun Jian had come to do her makeup so late, she thought that Yun Jian definitely did not know how to do it herself. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for the reading. Chapter 2165. After that, Yun Jian didn't wait for Kai Huiling's response. She reached out and pulled open the curtain of the large tent and walked out. You! Kai Huiling heard Yunjian's words and was so angry that she wanted to pull open the curtain of the large tent and chase after her. Sister Huiling, don't lower yourself to her level. This kind of person is just sour grapes. With Sister Huiling's creativity, I can guarantee that tonight's first place will definitely be ours. Besides, she didn't. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for the reading. Chapter 2166. Disguise? Everyone present was stunned when they heard the boy's words. Yunjian's hands were not touching up his makeup, but, disguise? This boy was recognized as the ugliest in the entire martial arts club. Even he himself had a great objection to his appearance. He was used to being ridiculed for being ugly. At the same time, Yunjian was already halfway through touching up his makeup with a deft touch. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for the reading. Chapter 2167. Yunjian's yes made all the boys and girls in the martial arts club scream. They even forgot that they were going to perform martial arts in front of the whole school later. They surrounded Yunjian one by one in surprise. Oh my God, President, you're so awesome! I feel that our president is omnipotent. These were the exclamations from a few boys. As for the girls, this chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2168. Kai Huiling was really relieved now. No matter how amazing that Yunjian was, she could reach the heavens. What was the use of that? Even if she really came up with a better idea, if she went on stage without makeup, she would give the judges a bad first impression. This way, she might not even want to go on stage anymore, right? Kai Huiling flashed a big smile. Fold your underwear a little smaller. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2169. At this moment, the members of the martial arts club were already standing under the stage and waiting. Seeing that Yunjian was late, they asked Mo Bufan in a slightly anxious tone, "Vice President, why hasn't the president come yet? Would he be able to make it in time?" After all, she hadn't even put on makeup yet. The members of the martial arts club asked worriedly. Mo Bufan was the vice president of the martial arts club, which was decided after Yunjian became the president of the martial arts club. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. To support the author, please go to the original website to pay for reading. Chapter 2170. Kai Huiling was indeed astonished. Because when she first heard the members of the martial arts performance go on stage, the moment the music played, Kai Huiling actually said in her heart, this music choice is pretty good. It gives people a blood-boiling shock. But what's the use of choosing good music? It's still not someone else's. It's not like I created it myself. Just as this thought came to her mind, Kai Huiling even wanted to turn her head to look at the elementary school she had been playing with recently. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2171. However, Yunjian's right foot suddenly stomped on the ground. She leaped up from the audience and went straight over the height of the stage, reaching a height of 2.5 meters. When Mo Bufan and Zhou Huntao saw her running over, they jumped from the audience to the stage. When the two of them saw this, they half squatted down and put their hands together. Before they put their hands together, Mo Bufan half squatted down and picked up two things from the ground. He threw them in the direction Yunjian was leaping over. Yunjian catch. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2172. When the old judge heard this, he was so scared that he immediately jumped from his seat to the ground. He squatted down and picked up his wig. He even put on an expression as if nothing had happened and seriously put the wig back on his head.
He gently waved his hand and suppressed the few students who were making a fuss. The old man said with a solemn expression, "Silence!
Silence!" At this moment, Kai Huiling, who was standing in the distance and still wearing her extremely revealing dance outfit, looked at the old man with a stiff expression. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for the reading. Chapter 2173. The boy did not expect CE to jump out of nowhere. He did not expect CE to be so powerful. Not only did she kick him to the ground, but she also stepped on his head. The boy was already hurting from being kicked to the ground, but CE had stepped on his head with the intention of crushing his head with a stomp. The boy started to have difficulty breathing. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2174. When CE held Yunjian's hand and walked over, the auntie who had set up the stall was still holding a pair of matching outfits in her hands. She was thinking about how to advertise and promote her outfit. When she heard CE's words, the auntie was stunned as she held the matching outfits in her hands. Pack all? Did she meet a tycoon? Okay. I'll pack it right away. The auntie reacted quickly. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for your reading. Chapter 2175.
This lace dress was so thin that one could see the hand holding the dress through the black lace at the front of the dress.
Not to mention wearing it on her body. It was a black bunny girl lingerie and it was so thin that it was as if she was not wearing it at all. However, it was even more interesting when she wore it. CE bit her earlobe. Her earlobe was the most sensitive part of her body. Yunjian's body went numb and her face turned pale. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2176. Yunjian, who had been tricked by CE into carrying her into the bedroom, did not even have time to change her clothes. After CE carried her into the bedroom, he kicked the bedroom door shut, pressed her against it, and kissed her wildly. In the end, he did not even take off her clothes. He only tore the clothes that needed to be worn, and then, it was a romantic night. It was not until 3 o'clock in the morning that he finally stopped. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for it. Chapter 2177. Gu Yunjian's parents had passed away. Later on, after Gu Junjian became successful, he rarely returned home. When Gu Yunjian's father was still alive, Gu Yunjian's marriages were all arranged by the family. When people of the same status married another person of the same status, even if the man and woman had no feelings for each other, they would still be forced to be together. Hence, Gu Junjian did not have any love for his ex-wife. Perhaps after spending some time together, he still had feelings for her. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for the reading. Chapter 2178. Since Qin Yiru's words made CE happy, she naturally agreed. However, at night, she still needed to warm up. The next morning, Yunjian woke up early. She ran a few laps around the city before returning. Gu Junjian had already prepared a jeep for her. As Gu Xian was not in the country and was still furthering his studies abroad, only Gu Junjian, Qin Yiru, Yunjian, and Yun Yi went on this trip. Gu Junjian was not originally part of the Dragon Gate. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2179. When this thunderous voice rang out, even Uncle Wen's heart trembled violently. After Uncle Wen trembled violently and reacted, he immediately said respectfully to the person who was roaring with a thunderous voice, "Old master,
The person who came was none other than the old master of the Gu family, Gu Rumu.
Gu Rumu had a masculine face. Listening to this battle array, his aura was also incomparably tough.
However, he was already very old.
He was already in his 70s, nearing 80s. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the original website to pay for reading. Chapter 2180. Qin Yiru was already weak when she was not pregnant. Now that she was pregnant, Gu Junjian had to support her even when she was walking.
He was so careful that it was as if he was afraid that she would fall.
If Gu Rumu were to hit Qin Yiru now, even if she did not have a miscarriage, she would be sent to the hospital. Moreover, Qin Yiru had just gotten pregnant, and her body was at its weakest. Gu Rumu's status in the Gu family was very high. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2181. Dad, this little girl just cursed you to die. You actually allowed them to enter our house? Gu Ji listened to Gu Rumu's words and was stunned and puzzled. It had to be said that Gu Rumu's second son, Gu Ji, was a brainless person. Why did he say that? Everyone present, as long as they were fools, could see that Yun Jian had just taken Gu Rumu's hit, which meant that this teenage girl was not simple. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2182. The one who spoke was a young girl in her 20s. After hearing Gu Feng's words, she wasn't afraid of offending anyone. She said those words in front of Yun Jian and Yun Yi. Sisterling, don't say that. After all, they came back with Uncle Gu Junjian. My mother said that there's no difference between nobility and lowliness. They are now Uncle Gu Yunjian's flesh and blood. Gu Feng looked up at the young girl who spoke with some fear. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for the reading. Chapter 2183. Yun Jian's words were just to tell Yun Yi that he should never use such flashy moves against his enemies in the future. Otherwise, he would lose miserably. Usually, Yun Jian's enemies were the ones who would kill them. If Yun Yi were to use the moves of the Gu family's juniors on the training ground, whether the moves were beautiful, handsome, or not, and whether they could make the people around them scream and cheer, he would be able to match them against his enemies. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for the reading. Chapter 2184. Bao Lei of the Gale Mercenary Group was one of the international bigwigs that Yun Jian had met in Marilena's tomb some time ago. Bao Lei was indeed blind in one eye. He was a one-eyed wolf. However, he did not affect his own strength because he was blind in one eye. After returning to reality and hearing Yun Jian's last words, Gu Ling's expression froze. You know Uncle Bao Lei? And you've been there before. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for it. Chapter 2185. Gu Ling's words made Gu Zihao and the others, who had originally planned to hear Yun Jian praise their valiant movements on the training ground just now, stunned on the spot. What? Yun Jian said that their movements were flashy but not practical? She said that she could find 100 flaws in 1 minute? Gu Zihao and his brothers did not pay much attention to what Gu Ling said after that. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2186. It was true that Gu Zihao was the strongest among the younger generation in the Gu family. Because once they heard that Gu Zihao was going to fight someone, all the younger generation in the Gu family's training ground gathered. Have you heard? It is said that the boy who is going to fight Zihao is the only one who left the Gu family a few years ago. He is the son of Gu Yunjian's new wife and ex-husband. When I first heard about this, I was so angry. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. Chapter 2187. Yun Jian's words were directed at Shan Zihao. Only then did everyone recall that Yun Jian had said the word back a second before Shan Zihao made his move. Suddenly, they combined it with Yun Yi's technique. He dodged Shan Zihao's attack sideways and appeared behind Shan Zihao in a flash. Then, he kicked Shan Zihao to the ground from behind. From the looks of it, could it be that Yun Jian had come from Shan Zihao? This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for your reading. Chapter 2188. After Yun Jian's word sounded and fell, everyone present fell silent for 3 seconds. 3 seconds later, the color drained from Guling's face as she stared at Yun Jian in a daze before she cried out in shock. What's going on? You actually know how to hack. Modify the program, tamper with all the information that can be searched by the computer, and at the same time, lock the real information with a Trojan horse wall. Even the top international hackers can only access it. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the original website to pay for reading. Chapter 2189. Even if Gu Junjian was completely removed from the Gu family, even if he had to bear the infamy of abandoning the Gu family for a woman, he would definitely not let Qin Yura down. After hearing Gu Yunjian's words, Yun Jian, who had just opened the door, was moved for a moment. At that time, Gu Junjian and Qin Yura's backs were facing Yun Jian. Yun Jian could not see Gu Yunjian's and Qin Yura's expressions, but she could see from the way Gu Junjian protected Qin Yuru and his unwavering words. This chapter is not authorized and cannot be read in green for the time being. If you support the author, please go to the official website to pay for reading. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.